So it's February 2024 and I got some bad news from my job. Basically, they're not booking any per diems from mid-March all the way to the entire month of April. So basically, I won't be working for an entire month and a half, which brings us to this video because at the beginning of the year, Jason said that we really have to save money starting this year because we're trying to move back to New York and we wanted to go on vacation.
In 2023, she had an entire month where they canceled all of her shifts.
It's history repeating itself.
That month was March. And she just found out this week that the entire month of March is blank on her calendar.
No, it's mid-March all the way to April.
That's true. But it's an entire month, regardless, an entire month.
Month and a half.
So normally what she does is she'll schedule herself for the days that she wants to work. Then staffing will look at her calendar and based on the availability or the need for the department, they'll plot her calendar and pre-book her. But they don't need any extra nurses. We apparently have either too many travel nurses in some departments or we have too many staff nurses.
Me, I really don't care because this happened last year and towards the end of the year, I caught up and I still put in my 1,000 hours that year so I can get my benefits. But I feel like a lot of the nurses that we work with, my job and his job, they rely heavily on OT. I think we were just so comfortable relying on OT because last year when this happened, weren't we like a little bit nervous because we were gonna go to Hawaii? Yeah, so we just got so comfortable at the fact that we have OT readily available. So when I told Jason this, he's like, well, you know what, it's fine. And this is the exact reason why we saved up at the beginning of the year.
Thankfully, we started saving in January. And now we find out that Monica is not gonna have any shifts from mid-March to April. And
probably entire April.
We're not worried about it because we're gonna talk about how much money we made in February, okay?
Yeah, so how many days were in this February? This is one of the shortest months and we broke our record with YouTube and our content creation earnings. So Jason's gonna break it all down so you guys can know how much we made from our W2 jobs and YouTube and all the other platforms.
You guys should know that we received 3 checks in February. I received 3 checks, Monica received 3 checks. The gross income that we made from our jobs, me in the month of February was $14,830. Monica made $19,451. So our gross from our W2 jobs was $34,282. Thankfully, we started saving money in January because now we have, I believe, $11,000 in our high yield savings account. And in addition to that, even though you're not gonna get any shifts from mid-March to April, we broke our income record in February with the number of hours that we worked. We only worked less than 20 hours because I actually even had a vacation day one of those weeks. So the first paycheck we received was February 2nd, 2024. And that obviously takes into account some of the earnings or most of the earnings that we made in January. But of the money that was deposited in our account, I made $10,221 in February. That's my net. And you made $12,968. That was your net. That's the total sum of what we had deposited in our checking account. So in total, me and you, we earned $23,190. That's after taxes. And we also contribute to our dependent savings account, which is what we use for our sons' childcare services. That's a tax rate of 32.35% when you take into account that all of the federal and state taxes and the deductions that we had coming out of our paychecks, because our gross for that month was actually $34,282. We really are so blessed to be in the position that we're in. Because when we lived and worked in New York, there was no way we would have been able to live the lifestyle that we live right now.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So when we share our numbers to the the general public and across all our platforms, we always get doubters. It's just so crazy to me because this is our reality, and I try to put myself in their shoes because in a way, this sounds like fantasy. This is not normal. So I can see the reason why these doubters think we're lying, but we're not. And that's exactly why we're sharing these numbers. We're sharing our reality because we want other nurses to realize that this is possible,
Absolutely. Like, It's so true. And if it doesn't exist in their city, in their state, in their hospital system, they don't believe that it exists anywhere else at all.
I honestly could kind of, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I'm like, this is an East Coast nurse. They probably make what, $38 an hour. They probably have like a $300,000, $400,000 home. They pay a lot of property taxes, a lot of income tax on top of that, and it's just like not a reality. It's just something so unheard of. So can you imagine 7 years ago when we learned what our potential earnings could be, and we came up to a California nurse and say, that's not true, that's not real. We would have still been living in New York, making very little money, living in a high cost of living area.
And you know what? We made $34,282 gross, but because we focused so heavily on content creation in the month of February, we actually made a total of $4,907 from our content creation business. And that includes $2,047 from YouTube ad revenue, $1,656 from the spreadsheets that we sell, $208 from another website that we use, and it's linked to our YouTube channel to sell our spreadsheets. And then we made $995 from TikTok. So Monica's gonna talk to you guys about how we made that $995, because we did not expect TikTok to pay this much. I was so excited when I found out that we were gonna make this much money.
For the month of January, February, OT has been dry. So during the weekday, actually, staffing calls me and he asked me, hey, Monica, are you available to do OT for Friday, Saturday, Sunday? This was on the Super Bowl weekend, and I didn't even know because we don't even follow sports. So because I'm only working 4 days that weekend, I'm following Jason's schedule. He got one vacation day off, so 4 days. Usually he does 5 days on,
Wow,
9
look how
days off.
pretty this is, guys. You need to see this.
Does
Flip it
show?
over. Oh my gosh.
That's a pretty one.
Look at these almond trees.
We just got back from doing an almond blossom photo shoot. That's why we're all dressed up. But yeah, going back, oh look, there's so many of them.
So many almond trees, guys. This is crazy. It's so beautiful out here.
We were looking everywhere. You should put this on, save this in your Google Maps.
Yeah, that's true.
So Jason usually works 5 days on, 9 days off, but he took one vacation day, so he was only working 4 days on. So I followed his schedule because my mother-in-law is here. He's watching the kids. So I followed his schedule, 4 days on. We had 9 days off, 4 days on, and then 10 days off afterwards. So when they called me to do a double on that weekend, I said, yeah, sure, I'll take the Sunday because I'm going to be off for 10 days after that. Not realizing it was going to be Super Bowl Sunday. So as the weekend neared, I asked my coworkers, like, hey, who else is going to do a double with me? Like, I want some solidarity here. I wanted to know who else is going to work with me. And they were like, Monica, nobody else wants to work. It's Super Bowl Sunday. And I'm like, duh! No wonder they pre-booked me. Nobody wants to work. And then I figured, this is the first time I'm doing a double since I got my yearly raise. So I went from 124 to about 133, my very first double. So I said, why don't I make a reel or a TikTok about how I'm gonna be making $177 an hour. That's gonna be my effective hourly rate when I do a 16-hour shift, and talk about this is the reason why I'm making this much. It's because of Super Bowl Sunday. So I asked Jason, I was like, do you think this is a good idea? Because I always have to ask him, like, do you think this is gonna do well? And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. So I made the video. I talked about how much I'm gonna make and how OT has been dry. And so I made that video. I posted it on Sunday morning when everybody's home, everybody's getting ready for Super Bowl, and the video blew up on TikTok. Fun video.
Yeah, just that one video, it's about $890 or something like, no, more than that. Because we made $995 from TikTok in February, and that video has the majority of the income for the month. So I think that video alone had maybe $950 that it made us.
So I was just thinking, when we made that much money on that my one video alone, I was like, now I know how much Nurse John makes.
Oh, man.
He's making bank.
But one thing you should know is that even though some videos get millions of views, if the video is not a minute or longer, it will not generate income for you.
This is for TikTok only.
TikTok
I don't know about Instagram.
Yeah, look how beautiful this is right now.
And look how lush and
so
green it is. It's not usually like this in the summertime.
No.
So we're kind of just relishing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to address this comment that I got. Somebody said, if you're making so much money at your job as a nurse, why are you still pursuing content creation? My answer is, why not? As much as I love my job, I can't take this job with me to New York. And what if one day my job decides they don't love me back? What am I to fall on? Anything can happen at any given moment. If you can have multiple streams of income, why not?
Yeah.
I don't understand why somebody would say that. And then somebody also said that we were unmotivated and lazy because we only work 20 hours a week. And you know, we're here to normalize work-life balance, guys. You know, especially when you have kids, you have you want to spend time with your family. You have elderly parents that you need to take care of. Yeah, what's up?
Exactly. We're just gonna get out the car and walk around so we can do something different,
cool.
real quick. We're just gonna.
I guess
there's no
it's
cherry
windy.
blossoms here, but I mean, no almond blossoms. But
I just wanted to show also
really
how.
pretty.
Ah, oh my
Yeah,
God.
so Sacramento is not all city, and it's not a big city to begin with. But
Okay, so people,
it's super windy right now.
when we say, okay, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Sacramento, you know, it's a cute little city, but you drive like 5, 10, 15 minutes away and then you're like out in the sticks.
Yeah.
It's insane.
This is what it looks like. There's
This is
literally like
Davis.
no cars out here, right? But look how it looks. It's so pretty.
I'm gonna fly away.
All right, we're gonna get back in the car. Just wanted to show you guys what this looks
Oh my
like.
gosh,
There's like
it's so
literally
cold.
nobody around here. It's just us.
I feel like I'm in Hawaii.
This does feel like Hawaii, but it's cold out
the
here.
smell of the air smells like Hawaii.
It's 59 degrees out here,
Oh my
but it
gosh.
feels like it's 40 degrees.
Hold on a second.
So, yeah, I'm gonna repeat this again, right? In the month of February, the fact that we were able to make as much as we made, the gross income was $39,189. That is the most we've ever made while only working 20 hours per week.
This is why people
I have no
question.
words. I have
This is
no
why
words.
people question,
Yeah.
you know, our reality and our numbers. But we want to share that with you guys. We want you guys to have the same lifestyle as we do. We've been doing this for the past 7 years. We just finally did it on a bigger scale.
Oh, in addition to this, we received such good news because I met with our accountant like a few days ago.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh. I had a meeting with him because he said, okay, I need to go over these numbers before I submit your tax forms. And I was so nervous because I'm over here anticipating a tax bill. I'm thinking we're gonna owe thousands.
I swear, you probably were almost about to shit your pants because knowing Jason.
The first thing I told him, I was like, okay, break it to me straight. Tell me, how much do we owe? He was like, oh, no, actually you don't. It's the exact opposite. And he told us how much we're going to get in our return. And I'm not kidding, this is like the highest return we've ever received. And part of that has to do with the fact that we had employees for our business, right? So that's a tax deduction, that's a tax write-off. I hired 3 different people to work on our business for us. So we have a video editor, we have a virtual assistant, and I have a computer programmer that helps us with the spreadsheets and a program that creates the spreadsheets for us. And in addition to that, I also had educational expenses because we paid for some courses and some mentorship programs. We also had the property taxes that we pay, that's a write-off. Our mortgage interest, and we paid $28,000 in mortgage interest last year. That was a lot of money in mortgage interest.
So when we say our numbers out in our platforms, they're not thinking about from our perspective. They want to see from their perspective.
Yeah.
So they're going to say, we don't own a business, so what's our numbers going to be like? You know,
Yeah.
this doesn't apply to them.
Yeah.
In all honesty, they don't care about our numbers. They're trying to learn how they can make more and pay less taxes. But before we had our business, we were still doing pretty good because we were getting paid so much more.
Yeah.
And the taxes, it doesn't even put a dent in our income compared to if we were to still be living in New York.
Yeah.
Or what if we lived in Texas? Can I also talk about working conditions? Man, like some of these other states don't even have ratios. Now, I do want to say this one time, this really made me think about like our life here in California. First of all, in the past 7 years that I've been working here as a nurse in California, I have never missed not one break. Ever. Never, ever. 7 years, okay?
But I missed one break, I think it was. But you know what they do in Kaiser? If you miss a break, it's like, I believe it's time and a half, because it only happened to me once, so I don't remember the exact details, but you get time and a half pay for that time that you missed your break.
And that's exactly why they ensure that we get our breaks, because it's expensive for them. So that's number one, right? I've never missed my break, 7 years. And on top of that, our ratios, we never go past our ratios, okay? Telly, 1:4. Then this happened a couple of weeks ago. We had a very special case in our unit, a very special patient that just needed a little bit more TLC. It's not the patient's fault, it was just a very complicated case. And so we needed extra staff to support the primary nurse. And so when I came on that shift, I was so anxious because I was like, okay, this is gonna be a difficult night. And guess what? They got me an extra nurse, 1-to-1, working with me. Not only did I only have 3 patients, right? I only had 3 patients. I had an extra nurse helping me with that specific patient. And I thought to myself, like, this would never happen bedside in New York. And it was just one of those nights where I was just like, I am so grateful to be working as a nurse in California.
Yeah,
unheard of.
And to add to that, like, I work in the ER, and I'm so grateful that we've hired more staff than we've ever had. A lot of nurses in my department are not happy about it because they don't have any overtime shifts available. But honestly, I think that's the best thing that could happen to the department, because we have so many staff members that if you need help with anything, now there's so many of us available that you don't have to stretch yourself thin in order to help each other out. So I just love the fact that we have so much staff now.
Yeah, so do you want to discuss any more numbers or?
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about the goals going forward.
Okay.
So we mentioned this in a previous video, but our goal is to this year make about $5,000 per month from our content creation business. But I believe we can do it. We just need to put out 1 or 2 good videos on TikTok. I'm gonna start making videos that I was making before that were getting over 100,000 views each.
Our last one did well. It's 100,000.
Yeah,
I think it's because it ruffled some feathers because we responded to the narrative that the California nurses are broke. We discussed how much we paid for mortgage, how much we have after taxes, and we net about 14,000?
Yeah, about 14,100 last year, not including our business income. We didn't mention it in the video, but with the business income, it's more like 16,000, close to 17,000 even.
So even after the mortgage is paid, we have $9,000 left over. And then so everybody was asking, oh, so what about the cost of living, your cars? Our cars are paid off.
They're like, you don't have any kids? What about that?
I guess they didn't think we had kids. We have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So they started putting in all these other factors, not realizing we have $9,000 left over. Come on, guys, you know.
And if we're able to save, even with that $9,000, we're able to save $3,000 every 2 weeks. Even after we pay off all of our bills, we're still able to save $3,000 every 2 weeks.
People were mad that our interest rate was so low and that we bought in 2018. I'm like, okay, so we were just addressing the fact that we're not broke, guys. We're not addressing the fact that you're broke. So people were like, oh yeah, of course you're gonna be paying $4,000 for your mortgage. Your interest rates are low, but we were just addressing the fact that not every single Californian is broke, okay? And if going back, let's say we didn't own a house right now and we were trying to buy a house, you think we're gonna buy a house that our mortgage is gonna be $8,000?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
This is what I mentioned in one of my responses, is that if you're someone who is fiscally responsible, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. You're not gonna go haywire and get the most expensive house you can possibly afford.
So, with that being said, I actually have a coworker, very sensible woman. She made a very sensible purchase. She bought a house in Elk Grove for about 500, maybe like 550. It's 4 bedrooms, maybe 2-3 bathrooms, and she pays about $3,500 a month for her mortgage. And I don't remember what she said her interest rate was, but $3,500, and she's a single income earner.
Yeah, her interest rate must be in like 3% or something like that.
I think she told me 5.
Really?
She must have put down a big chunk on the house. Very sensible purchase. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
So if that was us and we were looking for a house, same thing.
Yeah.
We would have bought a house of $500,000.
We've also talked about this before. So many of our coworkers are single income earners in a household where many of them have stay-at-home husbands who take care of the kids, or they do house-related work or whatever the case may be, but they don't have jobs. And the women are the ones that are supporting them.
Right.
The nurses, they're the breadwinners.
Because think about it, nursing is predominantly a female-led profession. So most of the time, the dad stays home and takes care of the kids, which is, I think it's great.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of double income earners at my job. It's mostly single
Same.
earners.
Yeah.
And sometimes their spouses are not even nurses making 6 figures a year. So yeah, no, this is just our reality. But you know, it's crazy because we make 300,000 a year, right? Even before we were doing our business, 300,000. And I swear, if people found out what our coworkers make, people would be big mad because our coworkers alone, we make 300,000.
And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I mentioned this a while ago where I have a coworker who made $550,000 last year, and she's thinking about moving to a different Kaiser hospital because we don't get enough overtime in our current hospital, and still feels like she's broke. So we've been filming for a while now, but we are actually heading to, I'm gonna drive to Bacon and Butter.
Oh.
And we're gonna go eat there.
We're starving. So here we go. We were gonna go eat over here.
So much for that.
But there's a huge line. Well, not huge, but we don't feel like waiting. You see it? Yeah. So Jason and I, we're gonna try to find another place to go eat at.
Yep. I wanted you guys to go to the restaurant with us, but it's too long of a video, so we're just gonna end it here. And if you guys want us to make another video on a different topic, let us know. And do you have anything else to say?
If you guys, you will let us know what you guys want us to talk about, maybe what it's like to live here in Sacramento. After this month, maybe during March and April, the weather is going to be much nicer. We can do a little bit more outdoor activities and show you what Sacramento looks like, so you could see what it's like to be living here.